Welcome to the Pixelberry Choices podcast, and today we're gonna be ranking the books released in between September and December, or the books that were active in between September and December. And I won't be listing the books that just barely got released, like Wake the Dead, 29th of December, and also no VIP books will be included, so only for non-VIP books I'll be including down here. So let's get started with this. I know a lot of you have been looking forward to this ranking, and here it is. So there were 6 books active in this period of September to December 2021, and The Unexpected Arias, Shipwrecked, The Royal Romance, Wolf Bride, The Nanny Affair 2, and Queen Bee Book 2. So I will be listing down from the 6th book to first book. So let's get started. Here it is. Number 6, you have The Nanny Affair Book 2. Now, out of all the released book, I think The Nanny Affair Book 2 is the only book that in this time period to me didn't really live up to the expectation, and specifically it was the end half of the Nanny Affair book 2 with 20 chapters. So book 1, the Nanny Affair, it was great. It had high expectations. As a book 2, we needed to have a lot of answers as to why the main character hates the subway, with the Robin thing, and then Sophia. So there were a lot of rooms, but then we see a new character, Jordan, and a clip what could happen in the future at the very beginning, that Jordan is comforting us and there's going to be something. So the build up to that exact scene was not really what we expected. So I would say throughout the book, I felt like the hookup scenes what really covered the book, and the plot I failed to see. Book 1 was everything because it had steamy parts, hookups, but it was kind of needed, or it was blended in the plot, and it was quite well done. So just compared to book 1, I think book 2 didn't really live up to the expectation, but just the way book 2 ended, I think book 3 can be the book people were waiting for after Nanny Affair book 1. But here, compared to all the other books released between September and December, I think the Nanny Affair book 2 kind of fell flat compared to book 1, and even compared to all the other books active in between this period. So here's our number 6, The Nanny Affair Book 2. Behold, number 5, The Royal Finale, The Royal Romance Final Book. So now this is pretty interesting. The plot the Royal Romance had, like a secret society fighting them, and some, meeting some new characters like Liam's sister, the king's sister. So it was a whole new journey, and it was again spending some family time, and you have your daughter, you have your husband or wife, whoever you choose as a love interest in the book. I think as a finale it did a pretty good job. Now, the Royal Romance or the Royal Finale, it's a book that not a people have read, specifically the people who have recently joined Choices past 1 or 2 years, because it is really hard to go through all the books, just like my two first loves, to go through all the chapters. And but for all the Choices veteran players, like who have been playing Choices for a long time, who are part of the Royal Finale, like, it has a lot of views and a lot of people have read it. So it was a really popular series, and I think they did a justice, specifically with the finale. I think it's the longest. The Royal Finale's last chapter is officially the longest chapter available in Choice. It's like 30 some minutes. So that was pretty interesting, and I think the plot was interesting, and how it played out, how they ended it. It was pretty worth it, and it didn't seem like it was lacking something, but just that they dragged the whole franchise, the Royal franchise, for so long. And so I would say, compared to other books, it was not bad or something, but it was not in this September December period a book that really stood out. It was a royal finale book, of the royal franchise, and it delivered quite well. It's promising. It was way, the plot was way better than the Nanny Affair book too, but it didn't really overpower other four books active in between this time period. So here's our number five, royal finale. Here's our number 4, Shipwrecked. Now, Shipwrecked released for non-VIP players around somewhere around October toward the end, and this is a first VIP book to be released in the VIP schedule that they published in the middle of this year. So, how they planned to release VIP books to non-VIP players after 2 or 3 months. So, this is the first book, and also one of the first books to be gender customizable MC, where they have really sexy plot or mature plot. So this is one of the first books, and this book I would say. So first, I would like to address the thing that is something could have been improved in this book is really the chapter length or pacing of the book. So I feel like the pacing or the chapter length, like it is a 16 chapters book, but it could have been 10 or 12 chapters book. So somewhere how they went about it, it could have been improved a little bit. But other than that, this book is really once in a lifetime. First thing, in no other choices book, main character and love interest spent this much time together. I mean, we don't see much character throughout, a lot of chapters, at least half a dozen chapters or even more than half a dozen chapters. We don't see a single character other than our main character and love interest. And also what they did at the bonding point, I think this was just, even though they describe it as sexy and mature, and we do have hookup scenes with the love interest, we have smudge scenes but steamy scenes, but I think here what they failed to do in the Nanny Affair book too, like to actually build the mental bond, to build the connection between main character and the love interest. That's what they did with the love interest and main character of Shipwrecked, and also how they designed the love interest, like the banter they will have with the main character at the first more, and then it didn't die, but was still there, but not in that much amount that it was present in earlier chapters. And just the dynamic between love interest, Manu, or whoever you choose them to be, you can customize love interest name. So that dynamic, I felt like it was not something I have much seen in choices. And also the plot, how it picks up after chapter 11 or 12. So it was always there. I think if the pace was a bit more fast and a bit lengthier chapters, this book could have overpowered even Queen Bee or other books like The Unexpected Arias. But this book has tremendous potentials, great art scenes, and once in a lifetime book, like I'm saying. It is at number 4, but it is in its own a one of a kind book, and according to its genre, it would be one of the first books to be this great. Shipwrecked, definitely. I mean, if it was released under any other schedule or month, this could have led the whole ranking, because Shipwrecked, I just can't describe it enough. It's a really good read. And we're down to number 3, Wolf Pride. September, December, I mean, this has been Wolf Pride 4 months. This book was released also in October, and Wolf Bride started off as a romance book, love triangle between the alpha, the hunter, and our main character. We're trying to find our identity in this place, in this new place. We've run away from our home in search of our root, like what was our mother's home was like, all the questions hunted us, and we're here, and we are seeing supernatural things, shapeshifters, so wolves, werewolves, and then hunter. We are crushed in between two parties here, the human and werewolves, the pack and the knight of ossuary. So a lot of stuff happens, and I wouldn't say it's a supernatural book, but it's not a blast supernatural book like Nightbound or Bloodbound. But it's also not just a romance based, steamy book that is only romance based or steamy based book. It is more than that. So some things Wolf Pride does, I think it has some unique love interest, and the love triangle, the way they did it, it's just amazing. And also in September December period, they had a big revelation that one of the love interests, the hunter, is actually the elder sister of the other love interest, the alpha. So there's going to be pretty interesting drama in the next chapters, and how the feelings after the bonding. I mean, some books try to describe this with supernatural books, but when they go about the supernatural, in these books, and specifically in Wolf Pride, because we're bonded with both the alpha and the hunter, and specifically the alpha sometimes, and also the hunter, when they describe the steamy scenes or even just any scene, like how we can feel what they are feeling through the bond, even in their wolf form, if they're chasing a prey, the thrill, the run. Like human can't run that fast. I mean, yeah, there's some human who can run, but most humans can run like an animal. And the feeling of their heart beating out of their chest, or the thudding of their heart, or like in their ears, they can hear the thud, the sweat, the passion of chase. So even though our main character so far is a human being, still how they can feel through the bond, how it feels to be alive, how it feels to be fast, how it feels when you are chasing down, blood on your just a face, on your tongue, and you just chasing down a herd of your prey, and just you're running through the jungle, you're running through forest, you're running through waterfall, and you're just going. And then also while you're having a steamy scene, how they describe your what you are feeling, how your feeling is not the only thing that you're feeling, but through the bond you're also feeling what your partner is feeling, how their pleasure, their you know sensations are also being experienced by you, and your sensation is getting doubled. I think they did a pretty good job. I mean, it has a lot of dynamic to it, and it's a pretty unique book. Nothing like I have seen. So, just like Shipwrecked, Wolf Pride is also once in a while book. Maybe one thing there, other thing here could have, changed its position, but it's it's a great book per se. In and of itself, it's a great book. Wolf Pride number 3. So here is your number 2, Queen Bee Book 2. And Queen Bee Book 2, again, September, December, this is the period when it was released, and it is being released every week. And good news, this book didn't go to hiatus, so that's a pretty good sign. And what seems like this book is a great successor of Queen Bee Book 1. So we were kind of down after the Nanny Affair Book 2 that Queen Bee should live up to its expectations, and I would say it has so far lived up to its expectation. Queen Bee Book 1 was mainly, we knew our enemy was Poppy, some jerk girl, taking down Mean Girl style, fighting an enemy, everything, it was there. But Queen Bee Book 2, it has all those things. It has still Poppy, it has still some jerks and some, classes, all those nerd geeks and stuff. But here we also have a little bit of mystery that we need to find out who X is, who challenges us in this popularity contest to take over Belvoir and to take our position, our crown from us, our queendom from us. So we try to unmask X throughout the book. We can complete the hit list by unmasking their minions and debunking all their false claims and stuff. We have a lot of obstacles in our path. We have our love interests. But what I pretty much like about Queen Bee Book 2, I know a lot of you like, that how unique its writing style is. And by unique, I mean, like when you don't know someone, it just says, in the place of their name, it says, I think I'm very smart. Or so just the way they write, or even when they are writing it, it feels like it's just a live roasting session, or it's just super hilarious. I have not read anything like this in any other app, let alone choices. So I would say Queen Bee has a pretty unique writing style. And also some scenes like with the professor when we unvision in this diamond scene about our future in a countryside, those scenes. So it's again just not going all smutty, like smut scenes and something with the professor because they're older than us, with this forbidden love, but they actually make connection. We actually talk with the professor. We actually, share our thoughts, and we share the bond with our professor, and it's just amazing there. I mean, there is one critique about it that Zoe is a love interest, but Zoe has not given equal scenes as a love interest with the professor. That's the thing, but I still feel like this book was meant to be a single love interest book. So that's why Professor gender customizable or is customizable. But still, it's a pretty good book. The recent revelation of X could have given this book a boost to get to top two, top one. But I think the revelation, the chapter before the revelation, even a couple of chapters before the revelation, they were blast. I have not enjoyed a chapter that much this year. I mean, chapter 13 was it? Yeah, it was blast. But coming back to this again, that revelation, I would say it was not as good a revelation as I was expecting, but still, you never know. Pop is in the game, anything can happen. Two chapters are left, but I would consider that for January to April, but for now, it has to stay number two, and that's the number two. And number one in this power ranking of books from September to December, all the books that were active in this time period, of all these books, the book that stands at the top, stands at the cliff, is The Unexpected Arias. I mean, August, at the end of August, this book got released. This book did have a little slow pace in between. I mean, it was not like slow like Shipwrecked or Foreign Affairs, but things happened at that time. But it was not, in a way that we were able to relate, like how it would happen. So it was still mystery under process, in the works. We were still unloading all the facts, and then how it ended. At first, we saw or we all those evidences, and we thought Vince is the killer. And then how the last chapter. I mean, I'm gonna say it again. That last chapter of The Unexpected Arias is the best last chapter I've read this year. Last year it was Blades of Light and Shadow, and this year it's The Unexpected Arias last chapter. I mean, the way they ended it, it can't have any competition until Queen Bee 2 does something. But just the twist there, Veil of Secrets, we often talk about it when we talk about The Unexpected Arias. Veil of Secret last chapter was pretty amazing, but the twist came a bit earlier in that book. But this book, I mean, the last chapter was a lot of stuff happened, and how poetic the ending was. Our sister dying, this was pretty emotional. And then, if you took all the diamond scenes, the book will end with when it will talk about when Amelia left from America to England for her marriage to Francis, and then when Amelia's ship is just disappearing in the shadows, in the horizon, and Amelia is just a Silhouette, and our main character just bidding goodbye to Amelia, saying goodbye, Amelia. So I would say this was pretty cinematic ending, and I just still can't wrap my head around what happened. I mean, we had best love interest in this book, John and Hughes and Gemma, and all the love interests, they were unique and they brought something different to the table. Where John and Gemma, they were royalty. Hughes was from different crowd, and John, he had his own problems and he had tragedies just like the main character. It's a mystery book, it's a whodunit type book, but it's just not about mystery. It has a lot of other things, like it talks about racism, it talks about sexism, it talks about how tough it can be if your skin color is different. It talks about the history, the British Emperor, and how the colonism was a bad issue, and all the things it dives right into that, the details it has in this book. I don't know how they did that amount of research there, but props to the writers. It's just one of the best books I've read this year, everything considered. I just, and it kind of made sense, the only book, like why it was gender locked, and I kind of enjoyed the first book. I really enjoyed reading Gender Locked. Last year was My Two First Loves. This year this book. I would say it's a pretty amazing book, and it's also, I loved something from period. So that time, 1914, 1915. So it's just the old times representation, scenes, language. It's just a whole new experience. I'm glad Choices did something with this, and people call it like it's just a, who done it murder mystery book. Yeah, it is. Like it kind of like Desire and Decorum. There are some, like from that time period. But I would say this book is pretty unique. I mean, I have not read the other book, Desire and Decorum, or something else, but this book is a murder mystery basically, but it still touches everything almost that are some mainstream issues right now, and some issues that are not even mainstream issues but that are pretty sensitive and that are pretty interesting. And I have enjoyed my time reading The Unexpected Arias, and that's just, that has to be on the top of this list of September to December. So there you go. That was a power ranking list of all the books that were active in the time period September to December 2021. And next we will have January to April power ranking of 2022. But before that, we'll also have a whole year power ranking. Come January 1st, we will do a December 2020 to December 2021 review. I mean, power ranking of all the books that were active in this time throughout this whole year. So we will see the best books of the year in that power ranking. It would be pretty fun, I guess. But this is my list. This is how I perceived the books released between September to December, or being active between September to December. Let me know by all means your power ranking of the books that were active in between September to December. And let's talk about this in the comments. I'd love to hear about your opinions, and I will do the other rankings. Like, I have some videos coming. New Year will be a lot of videos will be releasing, and even in the last few days of this year, like the ranking of choices, music, OSTs, and best villains. And there's some pretty amazing or some emotional moments in choices that personally made me more connected to choices emotionally. All those videos are coming. Let me know in the comments with more suggestions or your thoughts on this one. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, peace out.